crazy you are. Who in here will admit they're crazy? Good. How good are you at conquering your own crazy? And this, this manifests itself in all kinds of sorts of ways, right? So anywhere from, usually in a typical contest prep, and I actually wrote an entire timeline in the book that we published last year, like from 16 weeks out to the show, and like when you first start, you're like, hell yeah, this is good, I got food, I'm on Tupperware, this is awesome, it feels great, and I love chicken, and I love fish, and the pyramid scale everywhere, it's awesome, beast mode. And then about 6 weeks later, you're like, chicken. And your coworkers are like, what are you eating? Chicken. You're eating again? What are you eating? Chicken. Tilapia, broccoli, whatever it is. And then you're like, okay, and then the weight drops. You're like, hell yeah, I got a vein arm. Oh, that vein! Beast mode again, hashtag got this, right? And then in 4 weeks, you wake up one day and the scale went up 2 pounds. So fat. I'm never gonna make it. So fat. I'm just gonna go eat all the cookies. There's no point, right? I mean, clearly I'm fat, and so I'm just gonna eat cookies because I'm fat and never gonna make it anyway, right? So. Then you eat cookies, and the next day you're like, and then you text your trainer, you're like, I ate the cookies. Or you don't tell your trainer, and that's even worse, because they're like, why did your weight go up 5 pounds? I don't know. I was eating all the chicken. Y'all know you did this. Okay, the key is to be able to battle through, right? This is a mental toughness like you have never known before, right? To be able to have one bite of cookie because that's all that fits in your macros, or all you're eating is lettuce for dinner, right? And avoid eating the entire pack of Oreos or what have you. Can you do that? Can you go to a birthday party and withstand, taking your own food in your Tupperware, right? Can you, and people are like, why don't you eat? You're so skinny. Y'all skinny up. Your family, right? So your family, when you go to family gatherings, the barbecues and shit, grandma, why aren't you? You're so skinny. You need to eat. Anyway, so those are the kinds of things you have to be able to conquer that, right? So because this isn't a process where like every day you're going to feel great, some days you're going to feel really sucky, and so you have to embrace the suck and know this is part of the process, and you have to be able to continue to move forward. You can't just give in to every craving. You don't get to emotional eat anymore. You don't get to not go to the gym because you're tired, okay? So these are all things you have to make sure that you're able to endure. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share my story with you. My PopTart homicide, I'm sure you all saw in Bullet, and you're dying to know about the PopTart homicide. So here's what happened to me. It was in 2006, I believe it was. I was 3 weeks out from my show. The way that I used to diet, so you guys have heard the term bro science, right? So all my stories about tilapia and chicken, this is not how to do things. I'm going to get into that in a second, but this is how things were always done when I was competing. There was no if it fits your macros. I made it fit, but there was no, so it was, here, eat chicken 5 times a day, or tilapia, and broccoli, and that's all you eat. You eat no carbs, and you do 5 hours of cardio. By the way, do not do this, okay? This is not how you do it. If this is what you're doing, stop it. Anyway, I was starving. I was 3 weeks out from my show, and all I had was tilapia 6 times a day for the last 6 weeks. That's all I had. I'm an emotional person, okay? And I do not like Pop-Tarts. It is not my food of choice. However, I do like chocolate chip cookie dough. And PopTart had just come out with chocolate chip cookie dough. PopTart saw the commercial on the TV, and I was like, hell yes. That was like, this is like amazing. It's like, no, Tina, you're like 3 weeks out from your show. And so I had to go to Target. I live in Bowie. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Bowie, but like Target's here and BJ's are over here. So I'm getting to this part of the story, okay? So I had to go to Target, and something had just sort of overcome me. Actually, I know what it was. I always forget to tell people this part of the story. So at work earlier that day, somebody had a jar of Hershey Kisses. And I was like, oh, I can totally just have one. Right? Y'all have one Hershey Kiss ever in your life. So I had a Hershey Kiss, and And because I had had no sugar, literally no sugar in my body for who knows how long, all of a sudden, the literal chemical reaction that happens in your body, this is not even a self-control thing, it's an actual chemical, it's like crack. Sugar is as addictive as crack when your body hasn't had it. And I ate maybe the whole jar of Cheetos, I don't remember. It was ugly and I was hiding it, so my coworkers did the see. So she'd like leave her desk and I'd be like, oh. Wrappers in my, trash can over here. It was bad. So anyway, I had to stop at Target, and I had convinced myself, because the sugar is just pulsing through my veins at this point. If those Pop-Tarts are there, I should buy them. And they were right as I walked in the door, and it was like the gods went. And so I was like, meant to be, totally meant to be. Bought the Pop-Tarts. Back then, by the way, Pop-Tarts had 4 packages in them. Do you know that they're cheating you now? Because there's only 3. Yeah, right. So I had 4. Yeah. So now they only give you 3. And back then they give you 4 packs of 2. So get into my car. I'm at Target in the parking lot, and I finished 2 Pop-Tarts before I ever got out of the Target parking lot. By the time I got to BJ's, which is literally a light across the street, I had 2 more. So now I've had 4 Pop-Tarts. I am working my way through the 5th Pop-Tart. When I see the crumbs, I kind of catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. It was a complete out-of-body experience at this point. I'm like, crumbs, and I'm just eating because I can't stop. I'm like, I know I should stop, but I can't stop. And so I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, damn, you just ate 5 Pop-Tarts. And so I did the only thing I could think of, and I threw the whole box out of the window. So the one that was open, and then the one pack that still had 2 in it. Still close. Follow me, right? Totally still good, right? They might be on the parking lot of BJ's. Fine. So I said, I'm like, okay, so literally, logical Tito, please come back. Please have a moment of clarity and do something about the situation. So I was like, because in my head I was like, I know, I'm going to come back.